Hey you guys, it's me, Crystal, and so for Christmas last year, my parents gave me some money, and so I decided to spend the majority of that money on books. In addition to that, one of the authors I follow on YouTube, he writes young adult fantasy under D.S. Murphy, and he gave away all of his ebooks for free for Christmas. So because I bought so many ebooks, I'm going to separate the ebooks from the physical books. So this video will be the ebook edition, and the next video will be the print books. So first up, I'm going to do the D.S. Murphy books. All these books are young adult, dark fantasy, paranormal, or dystopian. The one I'm most excited about reading is Orpheum. First of all, this cover is so haunting, and this is probably the only book whose blurb I've read more than just a sentence of, and it sounds really, really dark and really, really awesome. In the description, the girl says she killed someone, and I'm like, sign me up. Next, we have Prophet of Doom. This is the only one I'm actually on the fence about because I think it has zombies in it, and I just don't do zombies as a general rule of thumb. But I was like, I don't know, I could try to read a zombie book. So we'll see. And then next is Scarlet Thread. I can't tell you anything about this one, but there are beautiful feathers floating down the front of the cover, as you can see. And I think maybe it has an angel in it. Maybe it's a fallen angel thing. I don't know. And then there is Taste. Now this looks interesting because at the top it says Kingdom of Blood and Ash. And you put Blood and Ashes on the cover, and I pretty much already want to read it. I'm thinking it might be a vampire thing, but again, I don't know. And this last one is Shearwater. I'm pretty sure this is a mermaid book. I've heard him talk about his books before, and I think he said this was a mermaid book. Of course, I love mermaids, so there was no way I was going to turn this down. So in no particular order, these are the ebooks that I bought for this month. First up is If You Find Me by Emily Murdoch. I think this is like a young adult mystery thriller. It's about this girl, and she lives in the middle of the woods in kind of like this broke down RV or something with her mom and her sister has selective mutism, which means she chooses not to talk, and it sounds like it's due to some trauma. But anyway, they're rescued, and the girl tries to live a normal life and go to school and have friends and all that jazz, but there's a dark secret and want to know what it is. In that same genre is Pretty Girl 13 by Liz Coley. This sounds real dark. So the book is about this girl, and when she was 13, she disappeared from summer camp, and 3 years later, she resurfaces, stumbling out of the woods, and she thinks she's still 13, and she's basically lost the last 3 years of her life. Because some very traumatic stuff happened, she developed multiple personalities to protect her. And through these multiple personalities and therapy and whatnot, she starts to put the pieces together. But anyway, it sounded really interesting. So, and if I'm going to read a more kind of contemporary book, I do like the darker things, and I do kind of the mental thing. So, we'll see. Next, I picked up Map of Shadows by J.F. Penn. I follow this author's podcast and also her YouTube channel and also her Instagram. And I know she typically writes very dark books. She has some kind of supernatural thrillers out, and as far as I can tell by her description of it, this is a dark fantasy thriller. There's something about a map etched on some human skin, which sounds really gross, but I love this cover, and I want to read one of her fiction books. I've read some of her non-fiction books, so I wanted to pick this up. Next, we have The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. This is a young adult historical-ish fantasy. I think it's about this girl, and she's supposed to, she's the first daughter born or something. I don't really remember, but she's supposed to have some kind of sight or something, and she doesn't. But her family is hiding it from the royal family or something. And this book has been on my TBR for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. And I keep looking at it, and I keep thinking about it, and I keep wanting to buy it. And so finally I was just oh, just get it. So I read a little bit of the sample pages online, and I like the voice of the character, and it sounds interesting, and I think I'll following her around, but we'll see. Next, I picked up Struck by Amanda Carlson. I don't remember anything about this book. I know it has been in my Amazon cart for a little while, so I finally picked it up. I really don't remember anything about it. I don't even remember reading the blurb, but I know I had to at some point. And for some reason, I just really wanted this book, so I got it. My best guess is that it's a YA paranormal. And speaking of paranormal, up next I have The Soul Summer by Alicia Hyder. This I think is an adult paranormal mystery. It's about this woman who can, like, I don't know, read people's soul energy or something. I read a little bit of the first chapter online. It starts off where she's college age, but I'm pretty sure for the bulk of the book she's like in her 20s. I'm assuming there's like an incident or something that happens while she's like college age, but it sounded really interesting, and I also liked the voice of this character a lot, so I picked it up. Then I picked up Obsession by Joanne Keltner. I can't really tell the genre of this book. The main character is like, I think she's 13. Some people in the reviews are calling it like an upper middle grade book, and some people are calling it like a YA book. Anyway, it's about this girl. They moved to a new town, and this older teenage boy like starts stalking her, and he may have killed somebody. And this has been also in my Amazon cart for a little while now, and it sounded interesting, so I got it. Next up, I have The Last Girls of Pompeii by Catherine Lasky. This is another book where there's like some confusion on the genre in the review section. Catherine Lasky mostly writes middle grade. I think she pretty much only writes middle grade, so I'm assuming it's like an upper middle grade like historical fiction, obviously about Pompeii. The reviews were kind of mixed, with some people saying that they didn't think it was appropriate for a 12-year-old, and some people not mentioning that at all. Of course, I am not 12 years old, so I can read what I want, and it sounds interesting, and I love Catherine Lasky, and I love her writing. This is, I think, one of her earlier books, or at least it's not in print anymore. Next, I picked up A Dance of Silver and Shadow by Melanie Sellier. This is a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling, and I have heard really great things about this, and of course the reviews are really good, but I was still on the fence about it, and here's why. Of course, if you know me at all, you know I love fairy tales. I have pretty much my entire life, and the 12 Dancing Princesses is literally like my favorite fairy tale, and I am usually really hard on 12 Dancing Princesses retellings. There's a book on my bookshelf back there called Grimm, and it's like an anthology of like young adult fairy tale retellings that I read a couple years ago and really liked it. I like most of the stories anyway. Now, I don't know if I'm getting this anthology confused with another anthology, but I read around that same time a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling, and it was like well written, and it was like a good story and everything, but I hated it because, like I said, this is my favorite fairy tale. And so I'm trying to go into this book with like really low expectations, and maybe I won't be so hard on it or something, I don't know, but I kept seeing it pop up, and then like, I just need to pick this up, because I just kept going back and forth on it, and it's like, just pick it up. And the last ebook I picked up is Astrophysics for People in a Hurry by Neil deGrasse Tyson. This is a nonfiction science book, obviously. I also picked up the ebook. I'm not super keen on ebooks because I tend to zone out a lot while listening to them, but I figured this is nonfiction, and he's reading it himself, and I like his voice, and I thought maybe I would understand it better listening to him talk to me than I would be like trying to read a bunch of scientific jargon. I do love science. I was pretty good at science like in high school or whatever. So far, I am 1.5 chapters into the ebook, and so far, I'm not having a super hard time following it. The first chapter is very dense in information, but it was very interesting as somebody who likes science. So those are all the ebooks I picked up this month. Let me know if you guys have read any of these and what you thought of them if you have. And that is all for this video, and I will see you guys next week with the physical books. And yeah, bye.